everyone. This is Shruti Agrawal from D2C Insider. Today we have Sushil Verma, Director, Supply Chain Development of New Zealand Post with us, who has served more than 18 years with logistic companies to understand customs in terms of export and import, and is here to help us understand the cross-border trading better and how can we grow our business not only in India, but taking the business to international markets as well. To start with, we need to know what cross border trade is and how big the market is. Cross border trade is a broader aspect that deals in selling and buying relationships of goods and services with neighboring countries. It is one of the best resourceful trading systems as it includes the nearest outsources. It has been recently estimated that the cross border market is likely to grow from $401 billion dollars in the year 2016 to $994 billion dollars in the year 2020. The growth rate in cross border trade is huge and is assumed to increase more with time. Sushil, can you please share how you got into logistics and give us a flavor of your journey too?
Yeah, thanks, Shruti. It's really exciting to be here, and I can see a lot of people have joined today the discussion. And yeah, I'm really excited to not just talk about myself, but also hear what are the challenges everyone is facing and how I can help in whatever way I can, and of course, learn also a bit about what people are doing in India and how they want to, what kind of help they need with cross-border shipping.
Mhm,
So yeah, just to share a bit about myself, I started my journey with after I did my MBA in supply chain. I started my journey with DHL Express in 2002, and that was the time when it was acquired by Deutsche Post, which is the German post. And I was lucky enough to be a part of the transition when DHL was transitioning from the old red and white to yellow. And yeah, I did a lot of work in DHL India, DHL Express India. I developed close to around 12 service centers in different cities, all major metros. And I also developed the gateway, which is in Delhi. And that was one of the first. It had a lot of first to its name when it got opened in Delhi
mhm,
in the year 2005. I would say 2004, 2005. First was that it was the only airside courier facility in India. Everyone else was just operating out of passenger airports. And it was the first to have in-house customs within the facility, right? So it was a dedicated customs team. And yeah, so I got a lot of experience in route optimization, warehouse optimization, and setting up facilities in India. And then I moved on to a regional role in Singapore within DHL, and I moved to Singapore in 2006. So it's been 14 years now here in Singapore. I moved here and I didn't go back. And yeah, when I moved here, I was in a regional role, primarily developing customs clearance systems for DHL Express in Asia. So that helped me a lot in understanding, going to all the countries within Asia, understanding what are their pain points, what are the challenges they're facing with customs clearance, and how to incorporate all those and give them a solution from a systems point of view. And yeah, so I did that, and then after that, I moved on to operations role within Singapore, managing the air hub here. And my last role with DHL was in customs and regulatory affairs, which was again very customs clearance and regulatory focused. And I also did my further studies while I was doing the job from University of Canberra in international customs law. Yeah, after that, I left DHL and I did some further studies in advanced management in finance and strategy. And then I joined another company, Nielsen, which is into market research. And I was heading their operations for Vietnam. So I moved to Vietnam with my family, completely new industry, totally different culture, but learned a lot and made a huge impact to the business. And after 1.5 years, then I had to come back to Singapore and started working with Pitney Bowes, which is a US-based technology company, primarily providing shipping for eBay, US and UK.
Yeah.
So yeah, there I helped them a lot with setting up all their network of all the shipments coming out of US and UK into Asia Pacific. I developed individual lanes into all the countries in Asia, helped them save a lot of money, close to around $1 million per annum, just in shipping, and also improve the overall transit time. So that was a big achievement. And then eventually, Pitney was also decided to start a new outbound market. So I set up the new outbound market for them in Australia, set up the entire fulfillment center, first mile pickup, doing all the fulfillment, doing pick, pack, and shipping it to the consigning it to the rest of the world. And then in 2018, 2 years back, Pitney Bowes decided to, sell off that part of the business. So that's when I moved to New Zealand Post. And now I'm with New Zealand Post, working here, developed again something similar, which I did with Pitney Bowes. I developed the Singapore hub for New Zealand Post. And this hub primarily caters to, combining all the volume that is coming from US and UK and distributing it into Southeast Asia, and of course India as well. India is also one of our origins, so US, UK, and India, and bringing them all into Singapore, being a free trade port, distributing from here to Southeast Asia, North Asia, Australia, and New Zealand. And just in a nutshell, I would say that in New Zealand Post, uh, uh, basically we're providing all warehousing, fulfillment, freight, distribution, parcel service, and even hybrid solution, which is primarily using postal network for lightweight items.
Okay.
So yeah, that's in a nutshell about me and what I'm doing right now. I hope that gives you a flavor of
Yeah.
what I can bring to the table.
Yeah. So I believe you have seen the entire transition in terms of e-commerce and logistics, mainly into B2B. But now that B2C is also a larger market and people are focusing more on that side as well. So yes, that helps. So I'll start with the questions here. What is the best strategy for setting up international shops for SMEs in e-commerce space?
Yeah, that's uh, it's a very I would say it's a good question. It's very complex as well. There is not a single solution that you can think of that would apply to all. It's not one size fit all kind of a solution.
Yeah.
But I would say that and when it comes to SMEs, and that's where we are focusing as well a lot, being New Zealand Post, um, I would say that SMEs have to take baby steps before they actually go on and scale the solution, right?
Okay.
And it is a learning curve, even though I would say that, yeah, you will partner with someone like New Zealand Post to manage your logistics and your international shipping and all the complexities that is involved with cross-border trade. There would still be a learning curve for the individual suppliers and manufacturers who want to sell their products into global market. Okay, so yeah, I would say the first advice that I would give is that take baby steps. Start with small, learn from it, and grow organically. You know,
Okay.
don't do a big bang approach. When it comes to choosing the products, maybe choose 5, 10, 100 products that you think would sell, would have a good offtake in the market. Do the right pricing for these products, and start with one country, easier to do. So I usually recommend to people, not because I'm based in Singapore, but even before, when I was with DHL or with Pitney Bowes, I have analyzed all different markets in different ports, and I see that Singapore is very strategic in terms of helping SMEs to grow their cross-border business. The Singapore government has a lot of programs to help SMEs, to help logistics companies, and it is a very efficient port as well because it is designed to manage this.
Yeah.
So that's where yeah, start with a country like Singapore, which can be your test bed, and once you see that okay everything is in place, and then you can start to think about how to scale that, how to add more and more countries. And I would say that as you will start to the scale the business, the complexity will also grow with that, right? So be wary of that. Don't So let's say if you started Singapore, don't add the next country as let's say Indonesia. Okay, why I'm saying this is because Indonesia has several challenges, both in terms of custom clearance and last mile. It has got close to around 16,000 or more than 16,000 islands. It's a logistical challenge for any company to go and deliver products into that market. Okay, so yeah, as I'm saying that take baby steps, do a proof of concept, learn from it, scale it, and scale progressively, not as a big bang. And as you will scale, you will also go through a learning curve. And then, of course, there'll be a point, there'll be a tipping point after which you will realize that, okay, I've seen enough, I've done enough. Now I can take a big bang approach and open it to all the countries and of course take more products, sell more products.
Okay. And how do we select the products? I mean, suppose I have 100 SKUs, and to start with, we want to have 20 or 25 SKUs. So, how do we, select those? What is the selection criteria?
Yeah, so that I would say that start with let's for example, if you're thinking of selling into Singapore, right? Look at which are the top three categories which people are buying online in Singapore. And I would say I know this for sure that electronics is number one. Fashion is number two, and probably beauty and cosmetics is and health products is number three in
Okay.
Singapore, right? So it really depends on the market that you're deciding. I keep talking about Singapore because uh, it's a very good test bed for any company to
Mm-hmm.
start their business if they're thinking of selling international.
Okay.
And reason why I'm saying this is because if you are present in Singapore, you can actually ship out to most part of the world out of Singapore. You
Okay.
don't have to set up your own individual fulfillment centers and warehouses in each of those countries to scale.
Okay.
So that's one big advantage of starting with Singapore.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, it really depends on the country where you are starting your business, and based on that, you decide on the SKUs. And being a manufacturer or supplier of certain products that you are selling in your own market, which is India in this case, you would know that which are your top selling products, where you get most of the positive feedback from the customers, most of the products which are being sold most, and then that's those are the ones that you will bring to the international market. And of course, always be wary of certain nuances of individual markets in terms of the quality control, that the quality has to be good. If the consumer thinks that the quality is not good, your word of mouth spreads and people will not like the brand anymore, right? So yeah, so there are certain markets like Singapore where quality is considered to be one of the topmost thing. Even for China sellers who are selling to this market, they don't sell bad quality stuff here, and they will be banned. Basically, no one will buy from them.
Okay. Good insight. Uh, so, guys, if you have any questions, please put your questions in the chat box. And once we are done with these questions, we can take your question to answer.
Okay,
Thank
I
you.
can see in the chat.
Let's
Uh,
finish the questions that we have, and then we can take the chat questions.
okay, sure.
We already have some. So, what are the challenges with customs clearance in different markets, and how to overcome them?
Yeah, so yeah, as I was saying that every country has its own regulation for import,
Yeah.
right? Every country has its own de minimis when it comes to what is the value under which there'll be no duty or tax imposed. And now, when you look at Southeast Asia, the de minimis is very, very low. Like most of the countries have $50 as de minimis.
Okay.
So a lot of products will not even qualify for zero tax, right? Except Singapore. Singapore is an exception. Singapore, the de minimis is $400. And, until last year, Australia had a de minimis of $1,000
Okay.
and New Zealand also had a de minimis of $600 and all that is gone now. They have removed that. So now everything is taxable in Australia and New Zealand. And they've done this basically to make a level playing field with the retailers in the local market, right?
Okay.
So I would say that it is inevitable. Singapore is an exception where the de minimis is $400. But it is inevitable that almost all countries where you will ship to, in Asia at least, and Australia and New Zealand, there will be some duties and taxes that will be imposed on importation. So it is very, very important that when you are doing your pricing, make sure to include the amount of duty and tax as part of your pricing. Okay, so this is one of the biggest pain points of the consumers in this market.
Mm-hmm.
They do not want to get surprised with duties and taxes. Okay, when the shipment arrives at their door,
Okay.
so they want to just pay whatever it is upfront and then forget about it.
Mm-hmm.
So that is where I think the pricing has to be made sure that it takes into account the duties and taxes that would be imposed once the item is shipped to that country where the consignee is, right? And and yeah, I mean, as I said, every country has its own challenges. So that's where logistics companies like New Zealand Post come into picture, where we manage all the complexity for all the manufacturers and the sellers so that they can focus on providing the right product, the right quality, and the right price to the consumers. You know, they don't get hassled with all the custom clearance issues and importation issues
Mm-hmm.
into each of these countries.
Okay.
So yeah, I will not suggest that individual sellers or SMEs go and start reading or start educating themselves about each country, what is their duties and taxes, and what are the challenges. That will be very, very complex. I would say leave that to the experts who know how to manage this, so that you can focus on what you do best.
Okay. So, I mean, do you suggest that one should have a different price and product strategy as per the market?
Yes, of course, for sure. Every market is different, right? So, for example, I'll give an example of an average basket size of each of the markets in Southeast Asia.
Um,
So,
so, Sushil, most of our, when we talk about cross-border trading, US, UK came into our picture. So, if you can include in your discussion that
okay.
market.
Good that you have pointed that out.
Yeah.
You know, I am not including US, UK, Australia, New Zealand into the mix when I'm talking about it because these are highly matured markets.
Yeah.
Okay. When you look at the penetration of e-commerce in these markets, it's close to 80 to 90%
Yeah.
in USA, UK, Australia, New Zealand.
Yeah.
Most of the people, the latest report that came out of New Zealand and Australia on e-commerce, 90% of the people during in the last 6 months have shopped online, including shipping, buying from international sellers.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
so that is the kind of penetration that we're talking about. These are highly advanced e-commerce markets. So I'm deliberately not talking about them because they are like there are set procedures and processes in place. Like it is given, right? Like when if I'm talking about e-commerce and cross-border trade, and if you are bringing your goods and storing them in Singapore, US, UK, Australia, New Zealand will always be a part of it. because it's set market. There is no complexity, nothing.
Yeah.
You just have to make sure that your pricing is right for each of these markets because of the cost involved with shipping.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, so yeah, that is one. So one benefit of when we talk about US, UK, Australia, New Zealand is that the complexities are less. These are all English-speaking countries. Complexities are less when it comes to customs clearance. Complexities are less when it comes to logistics, last mile. Complexities are less when it comes to the options that you have
Okay.
for shipping into these countries. But the challenge comes in that how do you create your own niche in such a busy market with so many sellers who have been there for so many years, right? So, so that challenge is there, and that is why whenever I'm talking about e-commerce and cross-border, I'm focusing on Southeast Asia more because this is where the growth is. You know, if you look at the growth rate in Southeast Asia, it is more in most of the market is in double digits,
Yeah.
more than 25%. And when you talk about Australia, New Zealand, US, and UK, the growth rate is in single digits.
And
So
how about Middle East Asia? Because it's also an emerging market.
yeah, so Middle East, I would say it's emerging. Middle East is emerging. It has its own complexities again, except for UAE, I would say.
Yeah.
UAE is pretty straightforward, but apart from that, rest of the Middle East is very much like Southeast Asia.
Okay. Okay. So
But
let's
again,
include these countries.
you can implement the same solution there for Middle East as well, right? You can again choose a hub there, like Dubai, which is a free port, and then distribute from there instead of going into each and every market.
Okay.
Same for Europe. You can choose a hub, let's say in in France or in Netherlands, and then distribute from there for rest of Europe, including UK.
All right. Um, what is the best way to reduce the time from order to delivery for international shipping?
Yeah, okay, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
Um, um, so, and there's always a balance between what you how you do it and what you want to achieve, right?
Yeah.
So, and of course, the balance comes because let's say if you decide to keep your pricing to be very competitive in the market, then you have to make sure that your overall shipping cost is low so
Yeah.
that you are able to make at least some margin out of that transaction. Okay. And if you want to do that, then obviously the best strategy is to have your product stored in a central warehouse somewhere in the region, and then this and pick, pack, and ship from there.
Okay.
So in that way, you will have two advantage of doing that. One is that the biggest advantage will be that you will be able to provide a very short order to delivery time window to the consumers, and you will be directly competing with the local retailers in the market in those markets. And of course, the second is that you will bring down your overall supply chain cost substantially
Okay.
because you are not shipping individual packages to each and every consignee in the markets. You are actually consolidating, bringing everything, storing in one place, and then distributing. You know, a traditional distribution model, which they should adapt, right? Now, having said that, let's say if you have products which are high value, okay. So when I say high value means anything above 150 or $200, uh, when it crosses that value limit, the shipping cost becomes less price sensitive for the consumer.
Yeah.
So that's where what companies can do is that they can decide, okay, in this case, it would make more sense for me to ship it directly to the end consumer from origin, wherever your warehouse is in India,
Mm-hmm.
or from your central warehouse in India, or from your manufacturing base in India. It would make more sense to do that, right? So again, it's a play. There is not a it's not a simple answer to have that this is what you should do. It really depends on what kind of products you are selling, what is the pricing strategy, what is the service commitment that you want to give to your consumers.
Yeah.
If the consumers are okay with 10 to 14 day kind of a delivery window for after they have placed the order, then it doesn't make sense for you to store those products in a central warehouse in Singapore, right? Because you're not, you're actually over delivering on your promise. So yeah, that's where they have to strike the balance.
But do you think if the shipping time is 14 to 15 days, we'll be able to manage the competition in that market? It will be
Yeah,
tough.
I mean, see, I can tell you, I've seen that there are a lot of, there are different types of sellers, and of course, the consumer behavior is also different for those different types of sellers. So, uh, uh, I'm sure you would know that Alibaba has invested very heavily in this, especially in Southeast Asia, and because of that, there are a lot of low value products that they're selling in these markets,
Mm.
and they provide very cheap shipping with that. But the caveat with that is that it comes with a very long time window for delivery, right? So there are consumers who are okay with that, and they buy that. So it's basically a play of economies of scale, that you have a really huge volume of shipments going in, and because of which you are able to control your shipping, but your margin is very, very low, right?
Right.
But when it so this is the nuance of this market. But if you talk about US, UK, Australia, New Zealand, uh, consumers are, as I said, that they are very much sensitive towards the quality of the product.
Okay.
Okay, they still give a lot of importance to free shipping. So that's where I would say the strategy should be, for any international seller, is to make sure that shipping is part of your pricing. Shipping and duties and taxes is part of your pricing, so that you're able to offer that free shipping for your consumers, right? And but having said that, uh, they still want the visibility after they place the order. So it's not like I place the order and you have said that you will deliver in 8 days,
Mhm.
and you don't hear anything from me for 8 days, and eighth day the parcel turns up at your house. I won't be happy
Okay.
in these markets in US, UK, Australia, New Zealand.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, so that's where the difference is in terms of nuances of each of these markets.
All right.
So yeah, in fact, what I was saying is that if you look at each of these markets, average basket size. Now let's compare that. So if you look at Australia, average basket size is $150 US dollar.
Okay.
Okay, same is with New Zealand. Australia, USA is slightly higher, around $180.
Okay.
UK is around $200 average basket size.
Okay.
Now, when you compare this with Southeast Asia, Singapore is $90, which is one of the highest
Mhm.
in the region, and lowest will be Vietnam, which is around $5 or $10 average basket size. So again, that also comes into play, right? So uh, when you look at that, you can clearly rule out certain countries where you will not sell, because they're very highly price sensitive, and they are not looking for high priced items.
Mhm. All right. So, what role importer on record, which we know is IOR, plays?
Okay, yeah, this is a technical question. Import of record is primarily used by a lot of companies who do not have their presence in each of these markets, right?
Okay.
And they want to do a B2B, they want to have a B2B setup in the
Okay.
markets, right? So let's say, for example, there is a company in India, XYZ, who wants to, they want to store their products in a warehouse in Singapore, and they want to distribute from here their products to rest of the world.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Now, one way to do this is that you open a business entity in Singapore,
Mm-hmm.
and then set up your business entity, follow all the rules and regulations of the government that is there, set up a warehouse, uh, get all the products imported in your name, and then do the business as you would do in India, right? It's the same process. You're just replicating everything and doing it in another country.
Yeah.
Now, the disadvantage of doing this is that it requires a lot of time and effort and cost and money to do it.
Okay.
So the easier thing to do is to find the importer record who can become the importer on your behalf. Okay.
Okay.
So technically, importer of record does not mean that the IOR has the ownership of the goods that is being imported. It's just that the IOR is responsible to the authorities, to the concerned authorities, to make sure that the proper declaration has been done for whatever is being imported into the country and all the duties and taxes are being paid, which is due for the company.
Okay.
So, but as far as ownership is concerned, ownership remains with the original shipper or the consignee, whosoever owns the goods.
Okay.
So that's where IOR comes into the picture to help people who do not want to set up their local entity in each of these markets to sell.
Okay. And I mean, when the brands are started selling on these markets, how the returns will be managed, both in B2B and B2C both. Suppose I have a product and I have a hub which is supporting all the nearby countries, and then I have a different product which I'm shipping, maybe taking a time of 14 to 15 days, but I'm shipping directly from India. So in both the cases, how the returns will be managed?
Okay, that's a very good question, and I think it's one of the biggest pain points of online commerce or e-commerce. A lot of companies face this.
Yeah,
Uh, uh, I'll just give you an example
yeah.
of one of our customers, and they are a very big customer who are selling shoes and ladies' bags. Okay, Charles and Keith, and um, so I would just give that example for people to visualize that how exactly it would work. But as I said, it's not one solution that would fit for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
But this is at least will give an idea to people that what are the different options available for returns, right?
Sure, sure.
So what Charles and Keith does is that they ship to all the countries in Southeast Asia, in Australia and New Zealand. We
Mm-hmm.
manage all their shipping. And let's say if a customer, and with every order, a customer has an option to, if they either, let's say if the size is not right, or the quality is not good, or it is damaged, or they're not happy with the product,
Mm-hmm.
they have the option to return the item.
Okay,
So what Charles and Keith does is that they ask the consignee to just ship it to a local warehouse in their country, and
okay,
that local warehouse actually belongs to New Zealand Post, okay? Because we are managing the forward shipping for them, so
okay,
we give them that service where the consignee ships to a local warehouse by post, and we consolidate all the returns, and then we ship it back to Singapore
mm-hmm.
to Charles and Keith. Now, in this case, it is possible to ship it back to Singapore and get the duties back. Sorry, not pay for the duties and taxes on re-importation because it was exported and it is being re-imported into Singapore.
Okay,
Uh, so it's very easy to do that here. But in some countries like India, I can imagine that it will be a nightmare for people to uh, ask customs to not impose duties and taxes because it is being re-imported.
yeah, yeah,
I'm sure that people who are in this forum would have experienced that as well.
yeah.
So so yeah, it gets tricky. I think it really comes down to you have to look at what is your cost of the return that you want to provide, and whether it is worth getting that product back to you, or is it worth just salvaging it in the country. You can use your shipping service provider to just consolidate everything in one warehouse and then either ship it back to you or salvage it
Mm-hmm.
in country.
Okay. Um, I think we still have export. I mean, we have export, but we do not have export retail in India, where as it's not a kind of a consignment, but it's a separate parcel which is coming back. So that kind of algorithm is still not there. Do you think it's getting sorted uh, by the custom?
In India?
Yeah.
Well, to be honest with you, as I said that I started working with DHL India in 2002, and they started talking about EDI. I remember very correctly because I was working on the gateway in Delhi. They started talking about EDI in 2005.
Okay.
And you know when it was implemented?
Yeah.
Can you take a guess? It was implemented in 2017
Wow. Okay.
after 12 years.
Okay.
So, unfortunately, things move very, 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 very slow in India.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying that this has been my experience. I may be wrong. I don't know what is happening right now. Maybe with the new government, things are moving very fast, but it was extremely, extremely slow and very, very difficult to get any duties and taxes back from customs. It is next to impossible. Like, forget about it. You would rather just throw that item or pay the duty and tax rather than go and ask for it.
So, do you recommend that we should not be looking at the returns or how we manage it?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that to begin with, as I said in the beginning itself, that try to keep it as simple as possible. Take baby steps.
Okay.
So, return is something that you should think in the end, that should be the last thing that you should be looking at.
Okay.
First,
And
focus on how you are able to sell, how you are able to grow the market, get more and more orders, and take baby steps in terms of scaling the solution. And returns is just think of it as a cost to business,
okay. And
and try to. And of course, when I'm saying that, I I work with all my customers who are shipping into this, and we manage returns. And our whole idea is to make sure that we learn from the experience, right? So let's say if a customer has not liked the product, or a product got damaged or delivered late, or whatever may be the reason why the item is being returned, how do we get rid of the reason? How do we reduce the number of returns? Okay, to bring down the overall cost rather than managing it. So we don't want to have too many returns in there, although I know it is a good thing to have, and it is a good selling proposition. It gives some comfort to the consumer that, oh, at least I have an option to return. But how many people return in the real sense? We have to ask that
it is,
question.
in India, it is quite high, especially in fashion category.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, but as I said, every market is different.
yeah, yeah,
Every market is different, and of course, the consumer behavior is also different when they're buying from an international seller versus a local seller.
sure.
Consumer behavior is different.
Sure. And what supply chain, I can say, a strategy a manufacturer or a brand should apply? Is it so? Dropship is not applied, of course. Is it outright purchase or SOR model? Because
Sorry, what is SOR?
it is outright when you have a third party who's buying your product and selling in different market, and out SOR is stock on return. So whatever products are being sold, after that, whatever products are not sold, they come back to you. So it's in India, it is easy to manage that, but how can we make sure? Because maybe the
Sorry,
third
can you
party.
please elaborate more on this? I didn't get your question.
Yeah, so in India, how we are working is there are three models. One is outright purchase when you sell directly to a third party. So in this, with Amazon, there is this cloud tail who buy the product from the brands and sell. There's a second option is SOR model, stock on return. So whatever products has not been sold can be returned to the brand or manufacturer, And one is dropship. The moment you get the product, you get the PO, and you have the invoice also, and you can dispatch directly to the client. So what strategy is better when especially you do cross border, because you're not even expecting returns, you know so what strategy is
See,
good?
again, I'll go back to I think the first or second question that you asked, that uh, um, there are a lot of variables, right? So it has to be looked at on a case-to-case basis, and one or the other would fit
Mm-hmm.
for a particular seller or a manufacturer,
Mm-hmm.
right? So as I said, that let's say if the product value is very high, where the shipping cost, the consumer is not too sensitive about the shipping cost,
Sure.
then it makes sense to do a drop ship,
Okay.
have a drop ship model for that kind of a product. But if it is a medium range price product, I would say that it would make sense to store those products, and whatever is not sold, you return it, back to the seller. And what was the third one?
Outright.
Outright. So I would say that, yeah, that would be mostly applicable for very low value goods, right? Where you just opt for a very cheap shipping solution, like a postal solution, very
Yeah.
slow service,
Yeah.
14 to 30 days, which is the Alibaba model, which I talked about earlier.
Okay.
So yeah, you can look at what is the product portfolio, based on which you can decide what model to choose.
Sure. Do we need to have a global bank account in USA or UK?
Very good question. I don't know from where you're getting all these questions, but yeah, these are very relevant questions for any business who wants to sell into the international market.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. You don't need to. So the simple answer to this question is that you don't need to have a bank account in each and every country.
Okay.
There are solutions available in the market which can help you do that.
Okay.
There are very efficient, very I would say good quality solutions like PayPal and Stripe, but the cost is very high.
Okay.
Uh, um, and there are medium range solutions as well. So, and when you will go to individual markets, you will see there are some local players also doing the same
Sure.
service in terms of managing all the payments. So, like one of the companies that is growing in this region is Payoneer, which has very low transaction charges as compared to PayPal or Stripe. But
Sure.
yeah, I mean, there are various payment options available in various countries. So you don't need to, you just need to have one bank account in one country. You
Okay.
can manage it
Uh,
then.
Sure. And what about payment remittance? How to address disputes with marketplaces in different regions?
What kind of disputes?
Um, Maybe the credit note is coming or anything, any dispute.
Well, that is, I think that again, it really comes down to, um, I guess you are asking a question that these brands need to have a solution where that solution is taking care of the marketplace, or the shops in the marketplace, right? That is being managed, and the relationship with the marketplace is also being managed. So
Not
they are
really.
not
So,
managing it directly.
not really. So, in current scenario, especially for the brands, when they're working with marketplaces, the payment remittance is a big hurdle, and we want to know what processes the other countries, especially the marketplaces, has in place. Is there a automated systems in place while working with them, or maybe there's a time duration that they have fixed, that the seller will or the vendor will get back the payment once every 15 days? And what are the processes in place just to make sure that there is no difference, payment price difference, what you expect you get, sort of.
Yeah, so I mean that is very straightforward, right? So I'll give an example of three marketplaces
Yeah.
in this region. Um, Again, I'm not taking names of the big ones like Amazon, eBay, because they are everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And US, UK, Australia, New Zealand, these are the top two marketplaces. and everyone knows what is their fees, right?
Sure.
So I will just give an example of Lazada, Shopee, and Carousel,
Okay.
which is in Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
And these are three different platforms. And you can see the difference in the sense that Carousel does not charge for listing products, does not take any fee, even on the item value that your revenue. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's totally free,
Mm-hmm.
right? You are not, but it is primarily a C2C kind of a platform. So you will get a lot of customer requests, you will get a lot of chat requests, queries from customers. So that's the drawback. Okay, then you move on to something like Shopee,
Mm-hmm.
where there is no fees for listing a product. You can list thousands of products, but there is a fee if it is sold, right? But the fee is very, very low, like 1 or 2% on your sell on your invoice value,
Okay.
and it's very straightforward. You can set up your bank account, or you can set up your PayPal account, and the money can flow through that into your account. And of course, the third is model is Lazada, which is where you need to have a subscription with Lazada, manage. You have to pay on a monthly basis. You also have to pay for your listing, and you also have to pay for once the item is sold.
Okay.
Right. So
Transaction.
these are three different levels, and people can choose which one fits them better.
All right.
And of course, the payment, all that is managed individually in these on marketplaces.
Sure. So, I think we're done with our questions. So these are the questions when people are registering, they ask the questions. So these are those questions. Now we are coming to our existing participants' questions. So Tanmay is asking, what are the challenges and the procedure for exporting alcohol-based perfume sprays?
Hi, Tanmil. Yeah, I saw the question. Yeah, this is a bit challenging. Reason being that you need to provide a lot of certificates. Is it a DG or a non-DG? If it is a DG, then there's additional charges. It can only go on to certain flights, and there will be additional charges for handling dangerous goods.
Okay.
And obviously, most of the countries, there is a duty involved in these kind of a products. So, and that depends on the amount of alcohol that is there in the perfumes.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's the challenge. It's not that it is impossible. You can do it. People are doing it, but there is a cost. It is a higher cost as far as supply chain is concerned.
Okay. Um, so those certifications, how he can get if we need to provide a
No,
solution?
no. So that is provided by the manufacturer. So if you are manufacturing the perfume, then you have to go to a lab and come back with a DG certificate.
Okay.
And it's a standard certificate, so
Okay.
that the airline knows whether they can carry it or they cannot carry it. What is
Okay.
the flash point? And I mean, there are various parameters which they look at, based on which
Sure.
they will decide. And of course, the packaging is also different. There is a different labeling also needs to be done for these kind of products. So yeah, there is a lot of things to be done, and that is why the cost is high.
Okay. So if all those hurdles can be included in the cost, can it be saved
Yes,
then?
yes, of course, of course.
Okay.
Why not?
Okay. So Tanmay, if you have the pricing strategy in place, I think this is possible. Um, Ankur Goyal is asking, anyone who can do end to end similar to how Amazon does for US in SE market, maybe starting with Singapore.
Ankur, I'm not sure what do you mean by end to end. Can you please clarify more on this?
I think he mean getting the products and then selling it on different marketplaces. So Amazon is one who's selling on his own portal, but then is there anyone who can just take the products, keep it in the local market and sell it on different marketplaces, get the payment and remittance, everything is done and the final payment is happening to the brand or manufacturer. I hope I'm able to answer that, Ankur.
Yeah, I mean, I think that what if he's asking about the FBA model, right? Fulfillment by Amazon.
Yeah.
I would say that yeah, that is something which is slowly building up in this market. I would say Lazada is one of them, which
Okay.
is doing a similar thing what Amazon is doing in US, which is FBA model.
Okay.
But it is not very well developed, I would say, in this market. It is more developed in US, UK, Australia, New Zealand, and Singapore.
Okay.
In Singapore, I would say that it's not a one-stop shop solution. You will have to find a partner who can do it on your behalf. And of course, we work with a lot of such companies, so we can help you with that if you need any help.
Sure. So, Ankur, if you're looking for CBT, please get in touch with Sushil after this call. We have a question from Ganesh. We are a footwear brand based out of Bangalore, looking to expand in other countries. From a brand building perspective, which country would be an ideal bet? For example, country where homegrown brands have still not made their way into the local market.
Very good question, Ganesh. Yeah, I would say being a e-commerce consumer myself, I don't get whenever I go to India, whenever I travel to India, I buy a lot of shoes and clothes. My wife buys a lot of clothes and shoes as well because we don't get these in this market, right? So, and I was telling earlier to Shruti that if anyone wants to do cross-border shipping, start with Singapore. That will be your test bed, and you will learn a lot, and then you can expand from here. So I would definitely vouch for Singapore. We don't have a lot of Indian brands here,
Okay,
and there is a huge Indian population in Singapore.
sure, sure.
And I don't know whether you know that the third language of Singapore is Tamil.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. We were expecting this answer, but just wanted to confirm it. Thank you, Sujit.
Sure.
So we have another question from Kuldeep. What is the process of returns of unsold goods shipped to any international warehouse? Also, how often do we get remittance?
Yeah, so this is, I think I've answered this question earlier with the returns thing, right?
Yes.
So, as I said, that if you're talking about India and getting returned goods back into India, it is a nightmare to ask custom not to impose duties and taxes because you are re-importing,
Yeah.
right? So, uh, be that is something I would say that please don't get bogged down by all these complexities. Returns is just one of them. Keep it to the end, you know.
Sure.
Don't think about returns right now. Think about how you want to sell and what you want to sell.
Okay. Kuldeep, hope you got your answer. And Ganesh, you too. Uh, Vedant is asking, what's the best way to ensure the customer doesn't have to pay duties in the destination country?
Well, I'm not sure what is the intent behind this question, but duties and taxes is something that you cannot do away with, right? Uh, so you have to follow the local, countries' regulations and laws related to import. And so, like for example, in Singapore, if you are importing any item which has a value above $400, you have to pay GST, which is 7%.
Yeah.
And let's say if it's an alcohol or automobile part, then you have to pay duty as well,
Okay.
right? Now, if the intent behind this question is that how do we keep ensure that the value remains below de minimis? First of all, there are very few countries which have a very high de minimis. I can count them on finger. One is US, which has $1,000 de minimis. Singapore is $400. Hong Kong, and there is probably one or two more. That's it. Most of the countries there will be some duties and taxes imposed. So, and you should pay for it. You should not uh, declare. You should not under declare because if customs come to know about it, then your company will be blacklisted.
Sure. So, Sushil, since you were too much into custom and understand it very well, Do you know any site where, according to country wise, whatever ingredients or whatever products you cannot, dispatch? So every country has some products or some ingredients which is banned in the product itself. So is there any way these brands can get a list?
Yeah, yeah, of course, of course. So I
Okay.
can provide that. We have that.
Can you mention it in the chat itself so that people can see? Because
So
brands might.
I will provide my email address
Sure.
so people can write who wants to know about this, and I can provide all the details via email.
Sure. So,
Yeah, yeah. So every country has its own list of prohibited and restricted items.
yes.
So prohibited items are those which you cannot. Oops, sorry, I just sent it to Kuldeep. Hold on. So prohibited items are those which you cannot import, like it is not allowed to import in any
Sure.
condition.
Sure.
Okay, so you can definitely cannot import those products. And then uh, restricted items are those where there is certain customs import procedures and documentations that you will have to follow if
Okay.
you want to import those products. So there is a list for each and every country. Customs provide it on readily on all their websites in each countries,
Okay.
and we can also provide that because we do international shipping.
Sure. Um, Thanks. It was helpful. Rajesh is asking, please tell us about how to supply small quantity of DG and or non-DG products in courier mode from India to Singapore, and how to smoothly deliver. We are holding IC merchant exporter.
Sorry, what is IEC?
So when you export to different countries, there's this certification required. If you would have, I mean, if you work with eBay, they help in providing the IC.
Indian export code.
Yeah.
We are holding IC merchant exporter. Please tell us how to supply small quantity DG,
Basically, it is
non-DG.
free to export anything in the world.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
So if you are doing
So
cross
when you
border,
are
you need to
saying,
have.
when you are asking about supplying small quantity of DG or non-DG products, is this a B2B transaction or a B2C?
It's a B2B and could be a B2C also.
See, non-DG is very straightforward. So if you want to send non-DG products by courier mode, you can just you should choose any courier. There are so many courier who provide international shipping in India, who you can choose and ship. And DG, I don't think everyone provides that. There are very few companies, mostly companies who have their own planes flying, like DHL or FedEx, who would be able to handle your DG products with all the labeling and the requirements. And obviously, they would charge a premium for handling DG.
Okay. Rajesh, hope you got your answer. Uh, Vedant is asking, is there a way for us to pay it here so the customer doesn't have to pay? We are a small e-commerce company and we ship worldwide. So I'm talking about individual orders and not bulk orders.
Sorry, what do you mean by pay it here so the customer doesn't have to pay? How will the customer pay then?
Vedant, even I don't understand this.
Vedanta, are you there?
I guess Mr. Sushil is trying to. This is an add-on question to his previous question, where he supplies products in B2C mode, and and again when a customer pays the amount, right, he makes the full and final payment, right, to the whatever products he has produced, he's purchased. So he would not want to pay any extra duties or any kind of taxes, once the goods reach the destination.
Yeah. So this is what I was saying right earlier to Shruti as well, that whenever you are doing the pricing, make sure to include all the duties and taxes as part of your pricing, right? And then when you're doing shipping, you choose the DDP option in shipping. So DDP means delivered duty paid. Okay. So then the shipping company will ensure that whatever the duties and taxes that is imposed, they don't go and ask the consignee for that. They will just pay it on your behalf, and then they will bill it back to you. So yeah, you have to choose that option. So DDP is the answer to that question.
All right. Vedant, hope you got your answer. Um, Saket is asking, what type of charges come into picture when sending out the products? Where can we get the details of each country?
Yeah, this is a very vague question. What type of charges come into picture when sending out the product? Well, there are many charges, but I think the first, if you're asking from a logistics point of view, I would say that first of all is the shipping charge, then the duties and taxes, then there will be a payment gateway charge, that you're managing, and then of course fourth will be the marketplace, whatever charges that they have for listing the product or for selling the product.
Okay.
So these are the four big that I can think of. Rest all, probably if someone is asking for insurance, that will be the fifth one, if it is a high value item.
Okay. And it also depends on the category and the country where you're selling, right?
Yeah.
The customs and everything. All right.
Yeah, sorry. So the question is, where can we get the details for each country?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can provide that. That's not an issue. Please send me an email. What exactly you're looking for? I can provide you the basically a list of countries, what they want, what are their duties and taxes. That's very
Sure.
easy.
Sure. Saket, you can reach out to Sushil if you're looking for such details. Vedant is asking, since we don't produce in bulk and follow just-in-time inventory, it doesn't allow us to store products in warehouses. What's the best solution?
Well, that is where the drop shipping model comes into play, right? That you are selling right now into your local market and you're producing for a local market, right? And you just have to expand your stock visibility to the international consumer. Okay. And let's say if international consumer places an order, you are not doing anything different. Okay, you are just treating that consumer as a local consumer in your local market,
Yeah.
and making sure that you are tying up with a logistics provider who can handle all the complexities involved with cross-border shipping to take care of the rest.
Sure.
So I would say a drop ship is the solution
Okay.
for that kind of a scenario.
Okay.
I hope that people know what is drop ship. If
Yeah.
they don't know, maybe you can educate.
No, they know very well. So in India, we know these terminologies very well. Uh, Sanat is asking, just wanted to understand if de minimis benefits applies to only sample shipments in courier mode and not in cargo mode. Since most logistic partners don't ship DG packs in courier mode, we are forced to send it in cargo mode despite smaller quantities as samples.
Hmm. Since most logistic partners don't ship DG packs in courier mode. No,
Yeah.
I don't think this is correct, because when I was DHL Express, I used to handle a lot of courier shipments with DG
Sanat, can
cable.
you mute your? We can see a lot of. Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Oh, maybe I think he's asking about the proper DG, right? They're like chemicals or something.
Okay.
This is not like acceptable DG, like lithium battery. Lithium battery you can ship in courier mode, but if we are talking about chemicals and stuff,
These are
yeah, it has to go
sprays,
into
I
cargo
guess.
mode.
These are toilet seat sanitizer sprays, which Sanat is
Yeah,
talking about.
that I don't think they will handle in courier mode.
Aerosol products.
Reason being that it is very risky.
Okay.
Unfortunately, you cannot send them in courier mode. Because it has to follow. It has to follow the proper procedure, right? It goes into quarantine for certain days in cargo mode to make sure that it doesn't blow the plane. Let's say if it is loaded onto the plane, so it is not treated like a courier shipment. It has to be treated like a cargo shipment, and the reason is because they want to go through a proper procedure to make sure that it is not something dangerous and is going to blow the plane. I'll give an example. I was with DHL and some chemical customer who used to ship chemicals regularly in courier mode. He used to provide the DG certificate as well. And one day, the people the operations guys were loading the container, and suddenly, the smoke started coming out, and the whole warehouse got filled with smoke. The fire alarm came in, and we realized that there was something reacted, like there was some water or maybe someone's sweat went into the chemical, and that reaction started. And after that, that shipper was blacklisted because he didn't provide the right documentation. So it is very, very risky. And that is why, customs mandate that it has to go via cargo mode, even though it is a sample, because they don't want to take any risk. I hope you understand the reason for
Yeah,
that.
Mr. Sushil, thank you so much. We've been, I mean, the cost of sending, samples as low as, whose cost is as low as $10. We have to bear a cost of more than $500 just, for freight and, clearances at the destination. So a lot of challenges there.
Okay. Tarun is asking, I am trying to start a disinfected surface company. I have sourced a manufacturer whose product is doable to start with. Will exporting to countries in the UAE and Singapore be a problem?
No, not at all. These are the simplest countries to export. UAE and Singapore.
All right. Okay. Tarun, hope you'll start it soon. Dhaval is asking, we are into packaged food business. Wanted to understand which is the best agency or whom should we get in touch with to understand the labeling requirement for South Asian countries. How can we be sure on this?
Okay, yeah, this is a very specific technical question. Let me check on this and I'll get back to you. Not sure which are the companies who are doing this.
Okay.
That's a very specific question.
Okay. Dhaval, you can share your email ID so that Sushil can be in touch with you and share the details. Or maybe you can just send an email to Sushil and he'll check and get back to you.
Yeah, so I will basically just ask all the suppliers in the market, and I'm sure that they would have an idea about this.
Sure.
For sure.
Sure. Udit is asking, a country like Canada has a very high custom duty. So if I get an e-commerce order from there, can I send my shipment to a warehouse or courier partner in USA and have it shipped from USA to Canada, which will be a duty free?
Interesting. I will not recommend this.
Okay.
I will not recommend this. Sorry.
Okay. And the reason?
Well, the reason is that you are just circumventing the customs rules, right? So I'm sure that customs also has a rule that they look at the country of origin when they impose duties and taxes. So irrespective of, even if you're shipping out of USA, you have to declare that the country of origin is India, and then there will be duties and taxes imposed on it.
Okay. So Udit, it's up to you. You want to do it or not, but Sushil is not recommending to do this.
Can I just ask, but can't it be a different bill to ship to? Like even now we get orders from, say, London, and people want us to ship it to Singapore. So this is a real scenario for us. But here what we're doing is we're sort of institutionalizing it, that any order from Canada that comes, we send it to our warehouse in US, and then we can just tell the customer that it's your responsibility to have it picked up from US, or we ship it, or we form a company in US and we ship it to our warehouse in the US, and and then there is a second export that happens.
Who is the importer of record in this case?
So, like the bill two will
Is
be
it the consignee?
That's what bill two can be the customer. Shipping destination can be either my warehouse in the US or a third party partner that I have in the US who can be
No. What I'm asking is that so there is a bill to party, as you said. Bill to party is paying for the shipping, and ship to party is the consignee.
Yeah.
And you are the shipper. Okay. Now, in customs terminology, the if you have a bill to party, then bill to party becomes the importer of record. So where is that bill to party based? Is it based in Canada or based somewhere else?
Yes, that he or she would be based in Canada.
Okay. So are they ready to take the risk of importing this from US?
Yes.
Yeah, then there is no problem. Then please go ahead and do it.
Okay.
The risk is not with you. The risk is with the importer.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Ganesh is asking, what's the best way to handle inventory salvage in international markets?
Well, there are companies who do this. So most of the companies which provide freight and warehousing services like Geodis, DB Schenker, all the big freight forwarding companies. There are a lot of like thousands of freight forwarding companies, and they will provide this service obviously with a charge.
Okay.
Like when I was at Pitney Bowes, I used to use Geodis, who used to store all the undelivered or returned items, and then they used to salvage it and deduct the money on the monthly invoice.
All right. Sure. Ganesh, hope you got your answer. Akash is asking, while China has a very low shipping charges where they charge $1 of free shipping for e-packets and very low charges for express shipping, what are the best options for individual exports from India?
Okay, very good question, Akash, and this is very much relevant to my experience with New Zealand Post, because obviously the post angle comes in here, and I am not sure whether you have been following the news in the last 2 years. Trump has been very, very vocal about this, that China has been enjoying a very, very cheap postal rates for a very long time. Because China comes into the tier 3 country, okay, in the postal network, right? So they enjoy a very, very cheap postal rates, and Trump has been raising this objection since he became president. And last year, I think the postal organization took a decision that all the countries can raise the cost if a parcel is coming from China. Okay. So which was going to take effect actually this year. Okay. And that is happening. It is happening. It is changing very fast. This is an advantage which China had for many, many years, and it is slowly going away from China. So this is the postal advantage that China Post had. And now, since all the countries are slowly increasing the cost, this cost will go up as well.
Okay.
So the answer to your question is that if you want to have a similar cost and service like China, then use India Post.
Okay.
But yeah, you will have to deal with India Post then.
But again, then there would be no tracking or any other. Only with EMS it would be a tracking possible.
Yeah.
No, yeah. Every postal organization has untracked and tracked service. Okay. So even New Zealand Post, every postal organization has tracked and untracked service. So you can choose track service if you want. You also have another option if you don't want to deal with India Post. So you can bring all your stuff, if your volume is high, you can bring all your stuff into Singapore, and then you can inject into another postal organization like New Zealand Post. So we also provide ETO postal service out of Singapore. So we also act like a postal organization in Singapore with a postal gateway that is authorized by Singapore government, which is called ETO, Extraterritorial Office of Exchange. If you don't want to use India Post, you can still have access to postal network, but I don't think India allows ETO. I don't think any company has that. So you will have to bring it to a country which allows ETO. And Singapore is the best as far as India is concerned.
That's when there would be a high volume game that comes into picture, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, it is a volume play, you know, when it comes to very cheap shipping. If you're looking at very cheap shipping, postal shipping, the advantage with postal shipping is that the costing is in grams, right? It is a 10 gram increment. So let's say if you have a 50 gram item, you will be charged for 50 gram. If you go into a courier parcel mode, even if you have a 50 gram item, you will be charged for 500 gram minimum.
They have a slab.
Correct.
They have a slab.
That's exactly my issue, because we are into eyewear products, so it's hardly 50 or 100 gram items that are there. It's a
So then you
prescription eyewear. So those are
then you should
individual.
use the postal network for that, for sure. So if you can use, as I said, you can use India Post, but obviously you will have to deal with India Post, find people who you can work with. I don't know how much time it is going to take and how proactive they are in terms of giving you a solution. And if you want to move fast, come to Singapore and we can give you the postal network as part of the New Zealand.
We'll connect.
Network.
Sure.
We'll definitely connect to understand more.
Sure. So Vedant is asking, who would you recommend we work with in India for international bulk shipments? Someone who will take care of all duties, taxes, etc. Or is the best to ask the customer to arrange the shipment to be picked up?
International Bell Shipment, you're talking to the right person.
Okay.
So please send me your details and I will help you with that.
Vedant, please get in touch with Sushil. Udit is asking, how about natural fragrances? I think Udit earlier question was alcohol-based fragrances. Now he's asking about natural fragrances. So yeah.
I don't think there's a problem with that, as long as, but it is liquid, so obviously to provide a DG certificate or non-DG certificate, whatever.
Okay. Abhishek is asking, is there a MSDS mandate for food and FMCG products?
No.
Okay.
But in certain countries, there will be some requirement, especially with food, like Australia and New Zealand, there will be a requirement for certain documentation that you have to provide. And obviously, if you're doing a B2B import, you have to provide a sample first, get it lab tested in the country, get it approved by customs, and then only you can import it.
All right.
Sushil, hi, Abhishek this side. Are you referring to FITO certifications and all?
Yes.
Yeah, that is agreed. Thank you.
So Vedant is asking, what's a good agency to work with to help us import handcrafted products and food from other countries?
Import into India?
Yes.
From where?
Okay, from different countries.
Well, that's a very vague question.
Sure.
I'm not sure how to answer this.
It's okay. We can move to another one. Okay. Saket, you're asking how to connect with Sushil after this session. His mail ID is given. Please write an email to him. So Akash Shah is asking, we are D2C eyewear brand, just launched our website, glassesindia.com, have started getting queries from Australia, Singapore, US. Express shipping are very costly and the price advantage for the product gets negated due to the same. Further, there are many drop shippers who are looking to work with us, but this hindrance is limiting the retail export potential.
Hmm. So if drop shippers are looking to work, then what is the issue? Because drop shippers will take care of the shipping, right?
Yeah.
But this hindrance is limiting the retail export. What is the hindrance? Akash, are you there?
So yeah. So again, drop shippers are usually looking out for the final price, net price, and then they add on their price value and ship it to their customers. So when say for India, if the product is available for say 1,000 rupees or converted to somewhere around $25 or $30 plus, and again if it is through express mode, as I explained, if it becomes 1,500 plus shipping, then it becomes to a $69-70. Then again, the price parity that was there, the advantage that is there is just negated because of this.
See, I would say that for Australia and USA, I would recommend that the cheapest way to do this is to just go to adopt the FBA model, Amazon FBA. Okay, FBA is very, very cheap. You can store your products there, and once the order is placed, Amazon will pick, pack, and ship to the consignee. So obviously, you will have to ship in bulk to the warehouse or to Amazon warehouse in Australia and USA, right? Option 2, because that option was not available for Singapore, right? So option 2 is that store everything, ship in bulk in Singapore, store everything here. Once the order is placed, just we will pick, pack, and ship to the consignee.
Yeah, but
not just in Australia, Singapore, and USA, but anywhere.
Yeah, got that. But again, these are prescription items, so individual items are created and then customized products are created.
Yeah, so that is not an issue, right? That is not an issue, right? There are a lot of companies who are doing this. Like I know that one of the company who are working with us, Lens Mode, they have their distribution center in Singapore, and they are fulfilling all the orders from here to Southeast Asia, Australia, and New Zealand. Have you heard of Lens Mode?
Lens Mode, no. I will just check.
Yeah, so I don't think that is an issue. You can have all your SKUs stored and just pick, pack, and ship.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe Akash, after this, you can get on a call with Sushil to understand
Sure.
the entire process in detail and see how the other players are doing,
Right.
are able to sell on different countries
Right.
in the same model that you are.
Yeah, sure. Thanks.
Thanks. Nishil is asking, is it a good practice to put 6 invoice value lower than MRP so duties can be lowered?
It's
No.
It's not 6. It's just invoice value lower than, slightly
No.
lower than MRP.
Please do not do that. As I said earlier, this is not a very good practice. And again, I'm coming from a customs background, right? I know how customs think. The moment they will come to know about it that someone is doing this, they will just blacklist you. So please don't do this.
Okay.
Which is not ethical.
But we can equate it to, let's say, a product is $120, but we send it to a retailer and he will pay us $80 after deducting his amount, which is his commission. So in that case, the forex which we receive is $80, but the MSRP is $120. In that case, it makes sense to put it as $80.
Yeah. Whatever is your cost, you put that on as an invoice value. That
Whatever
is fine.
we will
But
get it to our bank account, that is we can put in the invoice value.
Correct. What I'm saying is that, let's say if it is a $1,000 item, okay, but for example, a laptop, let's say you're selling laptops and it's $1,000 item, and you declare it as $100 because you again say that, oh, because my cost of each and every item is just comes down to $100. That is not right. That is where customs will raise an objection.
But whatever we know that after commission retailer deducts and transfers it to our account, we know that this will be product is MSRP is $120, but we will be getting $80 from the retailer. We can put $80 in the invoice value, right? Because that is what, yeah.
Correct. Yeah, that is fine.
So I hope they will not object saying that we visited your website and the product is $140. Why have you put it as $90, $80? Does that happen?
See, even if they do, you can provide the explanation and they will accept it.
Okay.
See, customs are very open to that, because this is a custom value is a very open to interpretation. We used to face this a lot with DHL when I was in DHL. Every day, custom will be raising issues as why the shipment is under declared, and then we used to go and provide explanation for each and every case.
Do they also keep in account of the market value of product? Let's say for a handbag or a backpack, do they have that idea? Okay, backpack in US costs around $70, $80, and this guy has put it as $60, or this guy has put it, let's say $100. They know is a market value. Does that take into account also?
See, if it is the same brand, yes. If it is different brand, no.
What does that mean?
See, for example, if it is a Louis Vuitton bag, a certain brand, a certain make, certain model, obviously you can't sell it at a lower price than what everyone knows, right?
Okay.
And how about jewelry?
Sorry?
How about jewelry?
Jewelry what? Real jewelry or artificial?
No, precious jewelry. Fashion jewelry, there's no problem, but this precious jewelry. How about that?
Precious jewelry is another complex scenario, similar to DG and food products. Yeah, so that is it's totally different. Like it will take like whole day to talk about it. But yeah, precious jewelry, let's not talk about that in this session.
Sure. I think we are done with our questions. In case you have any more questions, please let us know. Okay, I think there are no.
But yeah, I mean, it's really very insightful questions people are asking, and now I'm getting a really good idea of what are the challenges that everyone is facing in India in terms of cross-border shipping. It is really an eye-opener for me as well. I used to think that people know what it is and still not doing it, but I can see after seeing so many questions coming that it is a big black box for people.
Yeah.
And that is where I hope that this session has, given a glimpse of what's inside that black box.
Yeah. And we do have a lot of challenges in terms of courier, freight, custom, import, export. We do have those challenges. And I think there is no proper organization who is giving, a clear picture on these aspects. Maybe there is one contact person to sort out the problems in terms of custom or maybe freight. So everyone is juggling people. So
yeah,
India, most of brands have aspiration to go beyond our country and sell on different markets. And I think people are very good in understanding the market and what product is required, and then the pricing and product strategy can be in place. But the problem that we have in the initial phase, which is a basic problem, to have the product availability in those markets is a problem right now. So I hope this session, and maybe you coming with us and providing a lot of details in terms of logistics, gave a new perspective to our brands within our community, and hope they'll get in touch with you. And uh, I'm sure you all will get help from Sushil, whatever he can do in his regards, and he'll help you out to sell on different marketplaces and the markets you can decide. So even if you want, apart from Southeast Asia, if you want to focus on different regions, please get in touch with Sushil, get some insight, and then plan it accordingly.
Yeah, I mean, sorry if I talked a lot about Southeast Asia, but as I said earlier, that it is given that US, UK, Australia, New Zealand they're very mature markets. There are not many challenges apart from the cost. So I mean, I'm open to, please feel free to send your questions, your queries, your challenges that you're facing, and I'll be happy to help in whatever way I can. And that gives me a lot of satisfaction.
Sure.
So this is not really a sales pitch. I'm not here to sell anything. I'm really here to, educate, share my experience and knowledge, which I have gathered over so many years, and of course, also learn from people what are the challenges that you are facing in your markets and how we can help.
Sure. So, guys, this is our small contribution from D2C Insider to bring the experts and help you in whatever way we can. I hope we are doing justice to what we planning or what we expecting to do. Hope this session helped you if you're thinking of or doing cross border already. Thank you, Sushil, for your time. It was really good insights coming from you. And we now understand what challenges we are facing and how to deal with it, and that too in an appropriate manner, because you have spent most of the time in customs. So yes, we want to go ahead with government policies which are there. We don't want to vanish those. So thank you everyone for your time. I mean, the questions were very good, the answers were very nice. Thank you everyone. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone. Have a
Thank you
good
everyone.
weekend.
Yeah, thank
Enjoy
you.
your evening. Bye.
Bye. Take care.